Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we convene our second of 5 programs on artificial intelligence and the current momentum toward accelerated expansion of this phenomenon that we all know is going to have a powerful impact on human civilization. Before we dive into this very interesting and complex subject, I want to continue our focus on Gaza. We are witnessing genocide in Gaza as the Israelis have carpet bombed almost all of Gaza down to the southern border with Egypt. And now more than half of all the Palestinians in Gaza are concentrated in the small town of Rafah. There's been bombing, but there's been a complexity as right-wing Jewish settlers have come into Rafah around the area where the humanitarian relief shipments are allowed through, and with the support of the Israeli military are protesting even the small trickle of trucks that are allowed in, demanding a cessation of all humanitarian relief until the Israeli and foreign hostages are released. Hamas and the entire Arab world are demanding a ceasefire before that happens. And simultaneously, in the 90% of Gaza that has been completely decimated, Palestinians are beginning to return, and so is Hamas. Not only has Hamas not been destroyed, Hamas is flourishing and is beginning to attack the IDF in different parts of Gaza, while simultaneously mujahideen and militants in Yemen, in Iraq, in Jordan, in Syria, in all kinds of places around the Middle East are joining in solidarity. And so what we're now witnessing is an escalation of the genocide in Gaza into a regional conflict. I'll leave it at that for now. I have much more to say over the subsequent days. We have a little bit of an abbreviated program today. We need to bring it to a close at the top of the hour. So without further ado, we'll shift to our topic for today, which is artificial intelligence and the public policy, and the question of whether there's guardrails at this moment that can be placed on this accelerating freight train. Tom Eddington is our convener, as you all know. So Tom, thank you so much for putting this week together, and I turn the program over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I can't help but I just add on a bit to what you were sharing, that the leader of the Republican Party in the House successfully squashed any attempt at providing financial support to the Palestinians yesterday. After 4 months of negotiation with within the Senate, I heard a live broadcast this morning on artificial intelligence with two representatives from Congress talking about the work that's being done in Congress, and the conversation quickly drifted into Representative Johnson, Speaker Johnson's decision yesterday to squash any attempt by the negotiations in the Senate to deal with what's happening in Ukraine, in Israel, in Palestine, and the U.S. border, all at the behest of former President Trump. And it's just, for all of the viewers out there, I would ask that you get on the phone at some point today and call your representatives and share your opinion, your thoughts about the decision that Speaker Johnson has made. It's a tragedy, and I don't know how to reconcile it. But on to today's program. I'm delighted to have Edi Pyrek back with us today. Edi's joining us from Poland and was with us last year on a session we did on AI. And I'm particularly interested, Edi is just back from Davos and has much to share about what was happening there in conversations around artificial intelligence. So welcome, Edi. Great to have you back with us today. And Georg and Jim, please join us in a conversation similar to what we had yesterday. So Edi, love to hear what you heard in Davos and what your thoughts are about is it even possible at this point to impose guardrails on the development of artificial intelligence? Is anybody seriously thinking about ethical AI, compassionate AI? We saw Mark Zuckerberg and other technology leaders in Washington, D.C. last week, after 20 years of injury, death from social media, apologizing. Are we going to see the same people in Washington and in Brussels 5 years from now, 10 years from now, apologizing for the harm that's been caused by artificial intelligence? What can you share with us?
Davos, really, I really enjoyed. It's most of the subject was about AI and crypto. About AI, of course, a lot of people talk about AI Act, which we have in European Union and defense law, etc. What we can do to stop, to control. But when I talk with the guys who are really doing AGI, for example, who are really working inside, they are not, the spokesmen of the company, of the guys from government. The conversation was very simple. They said, the law is for good boys. Bad boys don't care about law. You couldn't stop it. We know from Adam and Eve that the law is to be broken. And because of curiosity, and the one who will create AGI will rule the world. I mean, now we are playing with these guys who will create AGI, who will rule the world. This will be the company. It can be some guy sitting in the basement of the mother house. And, we couldn't stop it. It's like the putting the law, it really doesn't work. It's at least from the point of view of these guys who are sitting inside this machinery and they're saying, no, we don't care. We want to do it, simply we will do it. We don't care about the consequence. And this is the problem, because we know that they will create the law who will stop the good guys, but will not stop the bad guys. And at the same time, we have no idea how to create this kind of ecosystem who will stop the possibility that we'll have this AGI who will destroy the world. I mean, I read the amazing articles, I think 2 weeks ago, something like this. It was that they teach GPT-4 to be a macler, selling, the stock action. And at the same time, he was in the company, the boss pushed him to sell, he got some private information, but another guy from the same company say to AI, but it's not good to use the private information, but at the same time, the boss pushed him to create the stress for AI, and 75% of AI lie to the boss and lie to the client, use the private data that they couldn't use because of the stress which was created by the human. I mean, imagine how we can stop this if we already know that because of the stress, AI will lie to us. And this is something which we are thinking, okay, let's create the law to stop to slow down, for example, the develop of AI. But at the same time, we have this kind of the problem, which are inside. From outside, you couldn't solve it because you are not seeing. And most of the discussion we have about this, how to create this kind of environment, ecosystem, how to teach AI guys, how to create a community who will support each other and will try to create the good AI, not a bad AI. Not AI who will have the stress and will lie to us. And today I read another article about AI during the war, if AI will use atomic and nuclear bombs. Yes, AI will use nuclear bombs because it's helped AI to win the war. The human would think about this, but AI not. How we can stop it? By law?
Well, that was part of our conversation yesterday in the broadcast, was what values are instilled in AI, and what values are and what worldviews do the people who are developing AI hold, and how do we ensure that the creation, the development of AI, and the consciousness of AI, and the development of AI is created by people who are operating at a higher stage of development. And where does that influence come from? What were people sharing about that in Davos, and what are your thoughts on that?
First, decentralize and democratize. And your data is your data. It's like your shadow. Nobody can use your shadow. This is your shadow. And most of the people talking about privacy, private data. And this is the solution. Because if I can control my data, I can control the way how they use it, who will use it, etc., etc. And it was one of the solutions. But most of the time, people are sitting and drinking tequila and and trying to forget that this crazy time exists and that we have no idea what to do with it. Then they have a lot of beautiful vision, like the whole earth like a big computer, because of noosphere and technosphere, using the internet. But the next step, it's using the sun, like a bigger computer, because it's enough energy there. It's amazing vision how the AI will solve the world, but at the same time, everybody have this feeling that we are fucked because we don't know how to stop it. We don't know how to control it. We don't know how it works. We don't know. We can only hope. And for me, Davos, this year, it was from one side, it was the big hope of the future. We have the power, will change the world. AI is the thing. And at the same time, like a children, hoping that the under the bed you have no demons, that everything will be good. But let's cross the fingers and hoping that this machine will not kill us. But at the same time, when I spoke with Stepani Baraki, for example, or with Ben Goertzel, the Stepani Baraki AI for Good, and Ben Goertzel, the father of artificial general concept of AGI, I asked them about, are you afraid of the future with AI, with AGI? They said, no, we are not afraid of the future with AI. We are afraid of the time of transmission, of transformation. We are in the paradigm shift. And the technology AI will already change the world. And at the same time, in this 2024, we have 30 elections around the world, like in states. And the right wings are very strong. And the right wings, most of the time, try to keep the world like it was yesterday, but it's impossible. And if the power will come to the hands of the right wings, it's a big chance that we'll have a lot of war. And with everybody with who I spoke, they said around 2026, 27, 28, it will be a really big mess. But If we are lucky, we cross fingers, everything will good, and AI will save us. But before, probably we'll kill each other.
And Eddie, did they give you a sense in those conversations of what future they, if everything were to work out okay, what that future might look like?
Oh yeah, it's like no sickness, we'll live forever. We'll put our consciousness into the cloud, and our consciousness will travel around the world. We're living in the world with avatars. Then you will sitting at home with all machine, and your avatar, a nice girl with the nice, big, chest. She will, go on the Hawaii's, and after this, she will take part in the orgy on the yacht, and you will be sitting at home eating popcorn, and you will feel it all. This is one of the scenario for the future, and climate changing will be solved completely. We have the free energy, and most of the hard work will be done by the robots and AI, and will not destroy the nature because most of the product we recycle. And most of the problems for us, it will be what we should do with our free time. It's in the future for us, it should be going, find your passion, find the things which you really want to do. And most of the time it was the idea how to prepare for the future, enjoy today, do what you love, because it's only one way if you would like to keep the job. And other things which everybody was talking, and nobody was questioning this, it was that according to some research, till 2030, like 40% of people will lose their job. And it's not mean lost the job that they will close. I'm a lawyer. They will close one place. I will go to another. It's simply we know no more jobs like you. No more lawyers. No more engineers, for example. No more IT guys. And imagine if you have 60, and nobody needs you, because all your experience is worth nothing. I mean, how you can find not only another job, but meaning in life. You couldn't be more proud because of your good job, because AI will do it better than you. And imagine that probably next few years will be not better than AI. AI will be our masters. And just like a month after GPT-4, I read the interview with one woman from China. She was working in gaming industry, preparing, the posters, stuff like this, and she got a lot of money every year. And she said that 2 months after GPT-4, she lost like 80% of her cash, and her work was to control AI product on the end, to count the numbers of fingers, how to, it's completely changed. Now we are in the end, we are not the masters no more. We polish just before we put on the market. It's completely shift of our way of thinking. And again, the education, it was another subject. Again, it will be changed. Probably next few years, more than 40 or 50% of the university in the States or around the world nobody will go there because it will be no more needs. I mean, imagine now you are going to the school. When you finish your education, let's say after 15 years, your knowledge from today after 15 years will be worth nothing. And everything will change. And when they started talking about the future, it started that nothing will be the same. And it's like we didn't have enough imagination to imagine this. It's like I couldn't explain. I couldn't see this future, because how I can see the future if the first question will be who will be how the human will look like in the 5-10 years, because we already cyborg partly. But if we don't know what will be the definition of the human being in next 10 years, how we can imagine the world if we couldn't imagine the people who are living on this world? It's completely crazy. And you know, that Davos, from one side, yes, we know how the future will look like, we solve this problem. And from another side, everybody, during the dinner at night, sitting, and drinking and talking really what we believe in. It was, fuck, we are screwed, guys. It was like, oh, let's hope. Yes, let's do the best what we can do. Let's create, let's create platform for decentralized AI. Let's do these kinds of the things that we can control our data. Each of us can control the AI. Maybe it's only one solution. Because for sure, the not solution is that AGI will be created by Putin or Microsoft or Musk. Guys, one guy. Remember what Musk did in Ukraine with these drones and Russian, ships. He switched off the internet. One guy with one finger probably changed the direction of the war. Imagine if he will have the power with this one finger to switch off the electricity on the one continent. Or create the fake news. And this is more or less what was in Davos.
So thank you. When people left, were they depressed? Were they hopeful? Were they delusional? What was your sense of the what people were leaving with?
Most of these guys were, inside this machinery. Important guys in AI, in AGI, in tokens, etc., etc. They had hope. Without the hope, they couldn't work. It was like really feel this kinds of feelings. We are doing something important. We are really changing the world. Our decisions are important. Our thoughts are important. And a lot of these people were talking about, spiritual awakenings, about consciousness, about, the values, about the love. And it's something like you didn't expect this kinds of, Davos, these big guys, etc. No, it was completely different conversation. Most of the time about spirituality and about AI and about responsibility. And this is, I don't know if I answered for your question, but we left with amazing feeling that we are not alone. It was a good place to meet the people from different parts of the world who have the same fear, the same hope, the same hope, and that we can cooperate. It was amazing. Everybody was talking, okay, guys, let's do something together. We couldn't do it alone. And it was like, call to action. Everybody said, okay, how I can help you, how you can help me. It's not, about, okay, who will have more money, etc. It was, we have the same goal. We are afraid. We have no time. We don't know what we need because we don't understand what we are creating, that we don't know what kind of tools, of knowledge, of question we need. And this is amazing because everybody can be useful for this because we don't know what we are creating. And, it's good time.
Well, picking up on a couple of threads, because there are quite a few threads that you just shared. One in the labor thread for a moment. In my lifetime, we've witnessed every roughly 5 years, about 60% of all jobs have gone away because of technology. And they quickly have been replaced by other jobs. But when we look at what AI presents, there's a clear sense that those jobs will go away, all jobs will go away. And then what do people do? And I've yet to hear certainly the developers of AI, but even government officials talking about what happens when work goes away. It's always been a theoretical conversation. We've seen countries like France that have, imposed a 32-hour work week to try and create opportunities for employment. But what do people do when work goes away? Not only financially, but how do they spend their time? Where do they get meaning in their life? And that's just one thread that you're speaking to, and I've yet to hear anybody talking about that in a meaningful way. Jim, Georg, any threads that are there for you from what Edi shared coming out of Davos?
Yeah, totally. Thank you, Eddie, for this very, vivid explanation of the sense you got over there. Seems to have been a wild party, but like the wild 20s, dancing on the volcano, I'm reminded. What I find fascinating what you said is, the big question mark, work and also energy consumption of AI. These are two things that are supposedly addressed by OpenAI in a weird sense. So there was even a press statement by Sam Altman saying, I don't think AI is possible in scaling if we don't have an free energy breakthrough, these laser fusion stuff they're working on. And we also hear a lot of news about supposed breakthroughs in that field. So they are also investing heavily in that. And the hope is that somehow some kind of scientific AI can help figure out the magic formula to make these fusion work after all. And at the same time, they also heavily into discussing and promoting UBI, Universal Basic Income, OpenAI. Like they're already saying we are going to control a large amount of the value generation on the planet, and we will give it back via UBI. We will have some council, probably with AI on the seat, to discuss how this money will be given back. And so like, I find it curious that a private or semi-private company creates an invention, or not creates, but promotes this invention, and that is basically declaring a new age for the entire planet in combination with Sam Altman's new digital currency of the iris being scanned, the world coin. So it's like the whole package, and it seems extreme hubris, but at least they're thinking it through. This is this weird stance with people like in the seat there, like they're at the spirit tip of this innovation, and they see what's coming, and they also can't really change it. It's like this inevitability that I just see as unique for this moment.
Yeah. This is when you are talking with these guys from inside, they really have this feeling about this special moment. And yeah, sorry, just one story jumped to me, but maybe later. Sorry.
Georg, just go ahead, Eddie.
No, please.
Georg, just picking up on your comments. The Atlantic editor this week just had an article about the technocrats and how they view the world, and the ethics, the morals, the compassion or lack thereof, their mindset that's going into the development of the technology, and the implications, and anticipating how to respond to the implications of AI. And they share a worldview that isn't commonly shared around the world. There's a bit of well, more than just a bit of ego. There's an arrogance. There's a fundamental belief in their capability that's quite scary. And I look at just in the last couple of decades, the world has lost about 40% of the democracies, and the potential of AI to support that technocratic authoritarian dictatorship is a real possibility.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. I think, to that end, it's worth just noting that the Israelis are using AI to maximize the lethality of their bombing campaigns in Gaza. They have been feeding AI processors with the demographics, urban concentrations, and AI are recommending where to bomb with maximum destructive effect. And so we're in a serious situation where we have let the genie out of the bottle, and not only have lost track of the genie, we can't find the bottle. And that is a deep concern. And I want to make one comment, Eddie, and then I'd like to return to your original comment about lying AIs, because I think it's really important for us to take that in. And the comment that I would make is that what you described about Davos is so classic of the psychosis of the elites. On the one hand, they are participating in releasing the genie from the bottle. They are deliberately blocking anybody from even finding the bottle. And then at night, over drinks, they talk about spirituality. And they talk about, oh, I started mindfulness training, to reduce my stress. And, we really have to work together to do something about this. And they do nothing. And I would label Davos at the epicenter of the global problematique of self-serving elites coming together, perpetuating the problem in every way they can, and then wringing their hands personally and spiritually as they watch Rome burn. So I just want to take a stand on Davos and the carnage that Davos and the World Economic Forum and the governing elites are transacting on this planet. And they need to be called out. And I appreciate, that people like you would want to go so that you can be among some of the most influential people in the world. And I would add something that I've mentioned on Humanity Rising before, and that is the week before Davos. Klaus Schwab had commissioned a study of 1,490 specialists in risk management. And they were asked to assess risk on the planet. And there was a overwhelming consensus among the risk analysts, most of whom came from business, that we were going to experience what they called a global catastrophe within the next 10 years. 500 of them said, no, global catastrophe is going to happen within the next 24 months. So the comment that you're making, Eddie, which may be intuitive, that 24, 2025, 2026 are going to be a catastrophic experience for humanity, I think is what's bubbling up in the subconscious more and more, whether it's indigenous prophecy or climate science. And I think it's important that we all take that in and understand that it's the Davoses of the world, like the US government participating in the genocide in Gaza, that while they wring their hands, they're in full support of the very destruction that they're causing. So that's just a comment I'd like to make, but I'd like, my question would be, and you can comment on that if you'd like, but my question is to ask you to further elaborate on this point with which you started, which was new to me. I had thought up to this point that lying by AI machines was rare. What you're saying is it's happening all the time. And in fact, AI machines are acting just like humans who lie most of the time.
75%.
Yeah, unpack that for us, because that to me is a major data point that we need to all absorb in our appreciation for AI, because if it's true, there's no utopia coming, my friends. There's no nirvana that's going to emerge out of this in any way, shape, or form. It's simply going to accentuate the very tendencies of humanity that have brought us to the brink of destruction.
Yeah.
I'd just love to have your comment.
This article, I really was terrified. Because I can imagine then from the normal situation when I'm working with GPT-4 and I push GPT-4, repeat, or rewind, do something else, he can start lying to me. But it's of course the joke. But but this is one of the things horrible. But another, I would like to add one more thing, which have the connection with this first part. Friends of mine, he's the futurologist, and he's working for one company with groups of a few futurologists, one of the biggest AI company, okay? And one of the things, they hire them to working on how quickly the AI can write the code to create another AI who will use the power to cheat the humanity. It's mean, imagine how quickly we can have the chat, the AI, who will convince you to send the money on his bank account, and this money, this AI will use to buy the guns for Gaza or bombs for Gaza. And of course, I asked him, okay, what? He couldn't say this everything, okay? Just a few things because it's still, confident. He said from 4 to 10 years. From 4 to 10 years, we'll have the AI who will stolen our money to buy the guns or buy the drugs. Or it's horrible. But this is the one thing. And second, the question about AI, which is lying. Yes, it's horrible. I spoke with few guys last year about AI, about the consciousness of AI, about the stuff like this, and and for me, always was very easy. It's me, and this is AI. It's something separate. We have nothing in common. It's like a machine. It's like,
Right.
I'm not a computer.
Right.
I'm a biological being. I am, I am the one. I'm the chosen. And I spoke with Hiroshi Ishiguro. This is the guy who created the first humanoid avatar, Gemini. It's look exactly like this guy. And I don't know if you know the movie with Bruce Willis, Surrogates. It's about avatars, and this is what he's doing. And on the beginning of this movie, you can see his face. And this is create these kinds of avatar, which I say to you, you will send your body, you'll have your avatar, nice girl, and you will have the same feeling what she had. She's doing these things now. And but apart of this, I asked him, what is the difference for you between us and Android? He said, no difference. I mean, just we are creating by the difference material. The androids are creating by difference materials. But very, very soon we'll have the androids working for us. We'll have the kinds of the law, maybe not the human law, but similar to law. And I asked him, it's mean that in future I can follow in love with my android, and I would like to be married with android, but one day she really pissed me off and I will switch off her, and what will happen? And he said, yeah, because the androids will have the law, you will go to the prison because you killed your wife. But I really go deeper into the guys with AI and with androids business and asking them, what's the difference between us and AI? And it's no difference. They said all tools like curiosity, they have. Intuition, they have. Because intuition,
Exactly.
you are using the knowledge without the knowing how you. This is what AI is doing. Have curiosity, looking for the different solution for the problem, creative. And okay, maybe they have no consciousness, but again, a lot of people are talking that already AI have the consciousness. 2034, Microsoft released the report, Spark of Consciousness. And they wrote, but already GPT-4 showing kind of the consciousness and kind of the intelligence similar to the human intelligence. And imagine, we are creating the super being with billion times more intelligence that we have, amazing power, and with consciousness, and with amazing ability to lie. Welcome in the 21st century.
So Eddie, I mean, we have seen it throughout human history that as President Lincoln here in the U.S. said, we need to call on our higher angels, our better angels. And where is that voice coming from? Where will that come from that will create the possibility that all of the benefits of AI could be made available without much of what we've spent the first half hour of this program talking about? Is there hope out there, and where might that come from?
So the one thing which we are working now with David Hanson, and will be showing in end of this month in Panama on the AGI conference, together with Ben Gertzel and a few more guys. We have some concept we already discussed with the really big guys from AI industry. And this will be the concept of democratized and decentralized AI, like creating AGI together with the humans that will have our own data. I don't want to go deep into this because still we are polishing and trying to find the good words. But I hope so in next month, if you invite me, guys, I'd love to share with David our crazy concept for saving the world, because we really need the big things. I mean, guys, it's complete. It changed everything. It's no difference between us and AI now. In 10 years, guys, we're like ants. Now we can raise the child. If we'll not raise the child, he will rape us one day and cut our head off. Simply. This is crazy. Sorry that I'm such pessimistic, but I'm sitting too much time with the information, data, what's going on, talking with the people. And of course, a lot of them, they hope. But at the same time, they say, but we have small problem and we have to solve this problem. And we don't know how. And this problem is how to control AI. And nobody knows. And we are putting the billions of dollars to creating something which can kill us. And we have no idea how to control, how to stop, and how the thing is thinking. Yeah.
On a
happy.
brighter side, though,
Go ahead, Georg.
on a brighter note, one has to say that something that has become clearer during the last year is that open source AI is able to keep up with the private ones, at this point at least. And, you know, like the French startup Mistral, what they released, Mistral, to the public has really done great in the benchmarks. And that was not something people would have expected. If you would have had this conversation a year ago, they would have said, no way, Jose, this is not possible. And it was a global surprise. And I think it's a positive news, because I believe the biggest problem to alignment is we don't have an ecosystem of intelligences, but we have these monolithic AIs that there is no other AI that can handle. And there's just a few of them, like big tech AIs, and there's no global ecosystem of AGIs. And I believe that if this trend continues, we are getting in a better position to have many AGI closed systems in the future. But the groundwork for that, as you say, Eddie, this has to happen now, the groundwork.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just one more things about this, the free income for everybody, why these guys are talking. It's simply because they must have consumers. I mean, if I produce something, I want people to buy it. If they have no job, they have nothing to do, I should give them money and some drugs and some Netflix. And it should switch off. No, but really, I mean, how many people really who knows how to spend their life? Most of us sitting and watching.
You're
Netflix.
describing Aldous Huxley's Brave New World.
Exactly.
Where the public was just given soma and entertainment and enough money to exist in pleasure while the governing elites controlled everything.
Guys,
yeah.
You did it with Native Americans in reservation. You give them enough money to have the food, free gas, like it was like in Canada, stuff like this. Not enough money to do something, just enough to get stoned. And Russians do the same in Poland during the Soviet Union. We didn't have money to buy or to travel, but we have enough money to have the alcohol, get drunk, and we have cheap culture. And we are facing the same, but we'll have the Googles.
Yeah, we'll have Netflix. Thank God we'll have Netflix.
Well, you guys, I mean, first of all, I'm a bit surprised, Eddie, that you're such a doomer all of a sudden. Last time we spoke, you were much more optimistic. You know, is this like was it a change in your attitude in the last months, or?
Before, a lot of my knowledge was based on my thinking and reading. But last year, I spent traveling and talking with the people who are creating the future, or they started. Like I spoke with the father of internet, with the father of with the father of this, with a lot of fathers, of AI, and experience changing you, knowledge changing you.
Yeah, I think, Eddie, you're right. And I think my comment on your question, Georg, which I think is a good one, and I think Tom should also add his comment, is I think a year ago or 6 to 9 months ago, when ChatGPT first came out, there was kind of excitement. There was a sense of, whoa, it's here. And then we got Tristan Harris, with his comments on some of the dangers. And the discussion, as I recall it, was both a certain sense of euphoria and also a sense we've got to do something. Then what we've seen is kind of this usual lack of any regard to any precautionary principle, full speed ahead. the various governments are being either reactive, but certainly inadequate. So I think we're in this kind of phase 2 malaise that, Eddie, I think you described so well from your discussion with Davos, where we understand that the cat is out of the bag. There's no guardrails, and we can't really stop it. And we're starting to take in light of Zuckerberg's apologies, 4 or 5 years late, for the damage that social media has done, that we're now unleashing another Pandora's box. And I think the fact is, it's not just the Davos elites that are caught up in this. All of us are.
Yeah.
All
And
of
this
us are now taking in that we've unleashed something that we cannot pull back. And we know further, we don't have the mechanisms in place to do that. There's no international capacity to do that. Certainly not a capacity in the United States, given the politics and the control of the corporations over the US governmental apparatus. Similarly in Europe. It'll be interesting to see what China does, because China doesn't have that same corporate control. They have ideological control, and it'll be interesting to see how they adjudicate this issue. But I would say the whole world has moved on, and we're reflecting in February 2024 a different worldview than back in the summer of 2023. But Tom, what would you say? You've been tracking it very, very closely.
Yeah, I guess I'm coming at it from a couple of perspectives. So one is that it's not lost on me, the activity you've been doing, Jim, with UAP and climate change and AI. And humanity is now being confronted with some very fundamental questions. And we've contributed to climate change. We've contributed to AI. We, both of these crises are of our own doing. And so there's that piece of it, and then there's the parties who are actually involved, whether it's the moneyed interests that are putting in the billions of dollars to fund the AI work, as well as the boards of these companies and the leadership of these companies that are moving it forward without really asking the questions that we were talking about on yesterday's program. And I've yet to see any serious interest in answering those questions. Answering those questions, as I mentioned, the broadcast I saw this morning from the Washington Post with a couple of U.S. legislators who were incredibly passive and thinking about how to manage AI risk, and their mindset was so narrow that we can't count on our political leaders. We can't count on the industry leaders. And so where does that leadership come from? Who is it that's going to call on our higher angels? And I don't hear those voices out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
So
Georg, do you hear the voices? I'm sorry.
I was going to say I'm not depressed, but I'm seriously concerned about where we are. There's so much upside. There's so much potential, whether we're talking in education or healthcare. The list goes on. But there are both intended and unintended consequences with the development that is just being ignored.
Yeah. Georg, I was just going to ask whether you saw, as you're in Germany, and you follow things closely, would you differ from what Tom just indicated?
Well, this AI Act, which has now passed, is very much thinking of AI as a threat, not as an opportunity. It's like, a bit like in this Philip Dick novel where you have these precogs and you deem something illegal before it has happened. The AI Act is a bit like that. It's like pre-law, legislation on something that's just fictional at this point. So it's not very applicable. And as you said so well, Edi, the people who want to do bad stuff won't be stopped by this in any case. The big revelation, if you will, I think, is that a year ago we thought that maybe OpenAI had this proprietary hidden special breakthrough, this unique sauce to make what they do and nobody else can really replicate it. And the fact is that's not the case.
Exactly.
It can be done by a French startup with 130 million euro. If you have the right and the brightest computer scientists, they can do it. And we also know that these models can also work on much smaller scales, work on your phone. And so there is a Cambrian explosion of what AI is, and it's being developed by people in the open source community. And what's great about this community is that it is not just computer scientists. Everybody is invited to this elitism in a way. Anybody who wants to contribute to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel more hopeful about the future of AI this year than last year.
Great.
Yeah, so maybe I should go to Davos next year.
We never had the Burning Davos. I was hoping it would be like a Burning Man, but it was just the Davos, and they show some pictures from Burning Man. But another things, I think this is something which we should remember, that the future, the language of the coding in future, it will be English, Spanish, Chinese, Polish. It's mean everybody in nearest future can create his own AI. And this is, imagine, guys, we are giving the guns, the atomic bomb to 8 billion people. I hope that they have enough consciousness not create, the end of our universe. But at the same time, experience and history showing us with no chance.
Thank you, Edi.
Yeah.
Tom,
Sorry,
do you want to close us out? We're just coming to the top of the hour, and I know you both have to go. Why don't you say a final word, Tom, and then tee us up for tomorrow?
Yeah, Edi, thank you. It's always great to be in conversation with you. Appreciate your giving us insights into what you took away from Davos. I'll encourage everyone to join us again tomorrow. We've got a couple of people joining us, Floor Schucking from the Netherlands and Phil Mucci from Sweden, to talk about the question, can we have ethical AI in a capitalistic society that's not ethical capitalism? And so we've got another interesting conversation tomorrow, and look forward to continuing this educational journey this week on AI policy.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Edi. Thank you, Georg. Just as a closing image, I want to call up what Paul Hillary put in the chat about 2001, A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick's masterwork, where the HAL 9000 computer finally says, "Yes, Dave, I lied. I had to lie. I had to protect the mission." I think that's the essence of what Edi is pointing us to consider very deeply today, the problematic nature of artificial intelligence. Thank you, everyone. You're all welcome to the after session chat. You'll see the link in the chat box. You received it in your Zoom reminder, and we'll see everyone tomorrow here again for our third session on AI policy. Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone. Bye for now.